Hello again. Welcome to part 2 of our conversation or our coverage of the legislature's delegation of Orange County. Orange, this Central Florida, I would have to say. So now we're going to get into all of the public who came out to speak or to state their case or ask for money in most of the cases here. So I covered earlier about how many people. They have about 90 or so people on this list, and it actually is longer than that because they added additional people. So this was an all-day meeting, and they cut the meeting into 2 parts. The first part which was from 9 o'clock, I believe, until lunch about 1 o'clock. And that was the legislatures. I chose not to be in the room for the morning part because, it was all day long. So I didn't cover whatever happened in the morning part. I was there for the afternoon part, and that's what we're going to do. So what we watched what we just watched in the other video, I never saw that, where the legislatures were introducing themselves. So I'm glad I took that opportunity to watch and listen with you guys, because I didn't see it because I wasn't in the room in the morning. So we're going to get into the public. And again, there's about 90, over 100 speakers. So this was a long process. The afternoon session started at 2 o'clock and it ended at about 7. So we're not going to see everybody, but we're going to see a good amount of people. Maybe you'll make this another 40-minute video. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot. So let us get started. If you are interested in seeing that, of course you're interested in seeing that, because you want to know what happened you want to meet the legislatures, and you want to know what happened, and you want to see what the public has to say. You want to see. So let's get into it so you can see. All right. Okay, so the way this is set up is that they have broken the groups into 7 different groups, A through G, and we're going to go through each one of them. We're not going to listen to everybody, but we'll try to get a couple of people in from each group as we move along.
Thank you. My name is Linda Coffin, and I'm a volunteer with Moms Demand Action. We are a grassroots organization joining other organizations and community members to help reduce gun violence. Death by firearms is now the #1 cause of death in children in America. Also, there are more guns than people in the United States. The American Academy of Pediatrics in 2021 linked the rise of gun ownership to higher rates of gun injuries among and inflicted by children. Some say laws don't make a difference, and they burden law-abiding citizens and not criminals that cause the harm. But data shows gun sense laws do save lives. For example, in Florida, we can still say that firearm deaths in our children and teens are second instead of first. Why? Because we had laws like red flag laws enacted after we lost 17 innocent lives in Parkland. So why would we even think of lessening another law by bringing in permitless carry? Permitless carry harms public safety by removing vital safety measures designed to ensure that those carrying handguns in public have been properly trained and vetted. Our data shows that there has been between 13 to 15% increase in homicides in states where they now have permitless carry. Permitless carry and open carry are also a threat to our dedicated law enforcement and firefighter professionals.
But anyway, I've seen this woman before. She's always at the school board meetings for her gun control speech.
Bipartisan commitment, so together we can make an impact on reducing gun violence in our communities. Lastly, I want to thank Orange County School Board for recently approving a resolution to provide a safe storage message for our parents. Safe storage reduces children bringing firearms to school, reduces suicide, it reduces accidental shootings. Remember, it is easier to child-proof your guns than to bulletproof our children. Thank you.
You can't bulletproof the kids.
One of Orange County's biggest employers. FAMU yesterday FAMU today and FAMU tomorrow
Forever.
create student success outcomes from situations that seem dire. Student success is a key tenet of our legislative budget, $15 million. It is our hope that support for elevating and sustaining student success will continue.
Give me some money.
FAMU has done so much for me and other alumni. FAMU will continue to elevate students in Orange County and the state of Florida. I really appreciate your support for FAMU and last year. We look forward to your support this year.
More money.
If I can be of any help to you, we are contributing to the success of Florida, the country, and the world. I look forward to seeing you on April 13th, 2022 in
We're making FAMU great again.
Tallahassee. You have my
Couldn't
personal
help that.
invitation from me to visit the FAMU Day at the Capitol in Tallahassee. Thank you.
I have a question, Representative.
Not a question, a comment. As a graduate of FAMU Law, I would be remiss if I just did not wave in support for the great things that you all are doing. I'm an advocate for the historically black college and university. I'm thankful that the legislature supported HBCUs in the past with historic appropriations, and I will support any future endeavors with that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
This addiction has adversely affected multiple community resources. The number of Medicaid-financed births that are impacted by neonatal abstinence syndrome has risen substantially and totaled over $450 million in hospital costs. Especially unfortunate, addiction is not only harmful to adults, it is also devastating future generations. About 7 newborns are diagnosed with neonatal abstinence syndrome for every 1,000 newborn hospital stays, equating to approximately 1 baby diagnosed every 19 minutes in the United States. Nearly 18 newborns diagnosed each day. The need for continued individualized patient-centered quality treatment is particularly substantial in Florida.
The 8,500 youth that we serve just here in Orange County alone, 98% of them have graduated high school, 90% of them had entered college after graduating with us, and 10% joined the workforce. So we do have a path. We don't just want, once they're seniors and graduate, we have a path for them to go to be successful afterwards also. Also, some of our stats, 99% of our teens have avoided smoking, and 96% have abstained from alcohol use. Wow. As I mentioned, I'm also part of the Florida Alliance for the Boys and Girls Club. Here we have 246 sites. We serve over 213,000 youth. And the money that we get from the government here is all allocated to all of our clubs. We even have clubs on military bases too. So we try to serve all the youth that we can. Our ask this year is going to be $22.5 million. Last year we were allocated 12.6. $3 million of it was vetoed, the opioid prevention funds that we had gotten. We have a great program where we try to use that for kids not to join opioids, but that was that was vetoed out by the governor. So we're still providing some of these programs. We're still looking for money within the state for us to do that. And just so you know, every dollar that you put into the Boys and Girls Club, it returns $9.6.
No question. I just want to encourage my colleagues, especially our freshmen, to get to know your local arts and culture organizations and definitely join the bipartisan efforts. We actually restored funding, as Vicki said, to 100%, but now we've got to keep it that way.
Keep it that
It was
way.
10 years in the making to get there. And so just thank you for y'all's incredible leadership. And you do have a new arts advocate leader in the space, Representative
Miss Bracy Gray.
Bracy Davis. So very excited for this session to continue the good momentum that we started.
Waving in support.
Waving in support. She's
Thank
always
you.
waving
Thank
in
you so
support.
much.
Our organization is a statewide not-for-profit that represents more than 50,000 Floridians that work in all aspects of the film, television, and digital media production industry. I'm also a 24-year resident of Central Florida. In recent years, Florida has lost more than 100 major feature film and television projects that would have spent more than close to $2 billion. That's $2 billion of hard cash that didn't go into our economy, but instead went elsewhere. More than 150 million of that would have been right here in Central Florida. Last
What I just wanted to share today is that when you're thinking about affordable housing, also include homelessness in your calculus. It's something that if we don't address it quickly and for the long term, one of the proven and guaranteed results of low affordable housing rates will be a rise in homelessness in all of our communities. Thank you so much for your time and for your service.
Thank you. Are there questions?
Yeah, before you know it, we're going to be looking like California. Skid Row. Really, really bad. Jerry Demings needs to get on the ball.
Yes, Representative Escamani.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just want to say thank you, Eric, for your incredible leadership. And I'm wondering, could you also speak to the impact of wages in our service economy? How does that intersect with some of the work that you do at Christian Service Center alongside the lack of housing stock?
So Orlando is in a unique position in that for 24 of the last 25 years, we've ranked as having the lowest individual median income for the individual worker in the top 50 communities.
For the newly elected officials, we will be requesting and scheduling meetings to educate on the managing entity's role and the behavioral health system within your region. We just again want to thank you for your time and support of any initiatives addressing mental health and substance use to help our people. Thank you.
Are there questions? Senator Torres.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question I have, ma'am, is how would Medicaid expansion help your system, health system?
It would allow for more people to be served. We receive state funds, but about 106 million sounds like a lot. It's not enough to meet the demand that we have. So we know that there are individuals who are not able to access services for lack of payment. So adding them being able to qualify for Medicaid will help them get a lot of the treatment that they need.
Okay, thank you.
And also allows for the providers to expand their programs because it takes money to expand programs and maintain staff.
Thank you.
I feel like that all of these different programs, there were so many programs for children, so many programs for health, so many programs. I feel like, and all of them are asking for very large numbers of money. So I wonder if somehow, they're overlapping each other and, doing the same service and asking for more money to sort of do the same thing. But it's this organization, it's that organization, it's this organization, but they're all trying to do the same thing, that's just a thought I had.
Thank you so much. Next up, Kim White.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak to you this afternoon. As our legislators, y'all are in charge of the Florida Department of Corrections. The Florida Department of Corrections is and has been and still is in crisis mode. In the state of Florida since 1996, the number of men and women sentenced to over 10 years has tripled. And that has caused overcrowding in our facilities, bringing the total population to over 82,000. Florida has not built more prisons. We have closed prisons due to deteriorating facilities. So now we are overcrowded in all the existing prisons. There is a 20% shortage of staff to work in our prisons, putting both the incarcerated...
So the prisons that has been shut down due to deterioration, why don't they put men to work and rebuild them and make them working again so that those spaces, instead of sitting there decrepitating and, becoming what it is, how about they put men to work and get them back up and running? Because, if the space is there, why not fix it? That's going to put jobs. That's going to open up the economy even more. That's going to put people to work, because we've got a lot of crime. And, you can't have people all on top of each other in these prisons. So I would say they need to open up these prisons again and Lock some
family
people up,
employees at risk.
starting with the Democrats.
At $28,000 a person, that is a big chunk of our tax dollars. We can positively affect the overcrowding and staff shortages by decreasing the number of people incarcerated by overzealous sentencing, especially for first-time offenders. We urge for support for game time bills that support character and training.
I hear what she's saying, but I'm kind of wondering, is she saying that, what's happened, look at what's happened to California, because now they don't, if somebody does a crime that's like a misdemeanor or something that's less than $1,000, they don't even they just take them and they don't even bother. So, and look at what's happening out there. Crime is out of control. So I would advocate to continue to arrest people, criminals, doesn't matter what it is that they've done, to continue to arrest them and build these prisons and fix these prisons. Not arrest people because it's, not a big crime.
And reduction for the increased game time, reinstituting parole, and eradicating mandatory minimum sentences. These steps will allow our incarcerated people and their families to rebuild their lives and allow the prison system and our communities to function efficiently, financially and ethically, without jeopardizing public safety. Public safety is important. As a state, we need to create a reasonable release program that keeps everyone safe. Approximately 85% of the prison population will be released one day. We need a mechanism to ensure safe release and low repeat offenders. Children are affected by the prison population. I don't have my statistics, but it's like 32% of white children, 45% of Hispanic children, and 65% of black children have an incarcerated family member. I urge your support in the upcoming game time bills that are faith.
I would have to say those numbers, and the reason I have to say, did she say black children? Yes. So I'm going to speak to that yes, a lot of the crimes happens in the black community. That is just plain truth. A lot of the crime happen in the black community, and that's why their numbers is the highest.
Program-based and teaching-based, so that only those people who are actively working on bettering themselves will earn game time.
My name's Connie Edson. I've been an Orange County constituent for close to 40 years. And a few years ago, I found out that our Florida state prisons do not have air conditioning. With that being said, I set out on a mission to find that solution. We know that they are not going to tear down any facilities, nor are they going to build any. We will all be dead by then, I'm sorry. But with that being said, I did find a solution. The solution, these are porta-cool air units. They are portable, but yet they also can be stationary. In the dorms, they can be put into a stationary on each side. They plug into a regular outlet, and they fill with a regular garden hose. They hold up to 6,000 gallons of water. With that being...
Good afternoon, legislators. My name is Justin Harvey, and today I'm here to address the elephant in the room. For the last 2 years, we were beat over the head with the following phrase, safe and effective. Well, let's recap, because the results are in. Was it effective?
Oh, stop it. What happened?
Dr. Birx of the U.S. government and a Pfizer director have both now admitted on record that they knew the entire time that the vaccine was never designed to reduce the spread. This makes the mandates illogical and immoral, and all that discrimination and firing is unnecessary. So that also the baloney about protecting others was just that, baloney. So since it wasn't effective, was it at least safe? The VAERS database has logged over 33,000 deaths, 190,000 hospital visits, 60,000 permanently disabled, 26,000 cases of myocarditis, 18,000 heart attacks, 16,000 cases of Bell's palsy, and 5,000 miscarriages. And I don't have time to list the others. And as you all should know by now, this system only collects 1% of the injuries and deaths based on a Harvard study. So you can take all those numbers I just listed and multiply them by 100. Make sure you're sitting down when you do the math. Since the vaccine rollout, 1,600 athletes have collapsed on the field with cardiac arrest. Over 1,000 of them died. Is this normal? In a previous 38-year period, it takes 38 years normally for 1,000 athletes to collapse. We just accomplished it in 2 years. What is going on? A recent COVID roundtable hosted by Senator Ron Johnson had Dr. Robert Malone, the inventor of the mRNA technology, and he said the second shot almost killed him and says the vaccine should be pulled immediately. Dr. Joe Walskog was also there and spoke how the vaccine gave him transverse myelitis. He is now permanently disabled. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't mandate an experiment on people. It's very simple. Vaccine injury is real, not rare. I've brought over a dozen vaccine injured into this room to speak in front of the county commissioners. So far, we've been ignored, gaslit, censored, and ridiculed. As elected officials, I feel it is your duty to bring attention to this matter and give these people a voice and get them the help they need. So far, they've been treated like lepers. I'm also requesting that you never support another measure, and if you didn't, I understand, that forces people to choose between their job and taking an experimental product with no informed consent and no liability. Where there is risk, and there always is with all medications, there must be choice. Please do not support any bills that violate choice, medical freedom. Just give people the right to choose. That is all we ask. You can learn more about the injured at react19.org, and you can find some of the data from the VAERS database at openvayers.com. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope someone will address the elephant very soon.
Do we have questions? Representative Bankson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment. Thank you, Justin, for speaking. This is something that we've seen neighbor pitted against neighbor. This began and no one knew what it was. And not to vilify anyone on this issue, but I think you're hitting something that is so key. We have to have that opportunity to make that choice. And, it's like the questioning the emperor's new clothes, it seems, for some. And I just thank you for speaking about that. We need to have a rational look at all of the information. It's beginning to come out now. And that's why the FDA had a 5-year span before approving anything. And yet the rush, of course, we understand the panic that was there. But the more we get this information, the more the information that's been suppressed is now finding its way to the top by legitimate doctors and experts in their field. The more we see that we need to look at this thing correctly. And the bottom line, give people choice. Don't vilify people for where they are either side of this choice. It's up to the individual for that. So thank you for speaking. And I think this is a challenge of our times. And
I just want to thank you, because I've spoken here for 2 to 3 years and no one's ever said anything like that. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Chair, I have a quick question.
Representative Escamilla, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. I'm just curious, do you advocate for access to safe and legal abortion as a medical choice as well?
That's not really I don't know how that's relevant, but I focus on the vaccine issue. Yeah. My body, my choice, right?
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, my body, my choice.
So what is that response?
That response is yes, and I'm not a conservative, so thank you for the assumptions, though.
Not assumption, it was a question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for tweeting during the last time we had vaccine injured people in here speaking.
Madam Chair? That I was not a representative. I was speaking to a constituent, and it was during a county commission meeting, not a delegation meeting. You have my full attention.
I understand. I was just
and
hoping
respect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to.
Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Wonderful elected officials here in Orange County. I'm Wendy Nissan. I'm the director of the Florida Fair Election Coalition. And I'm appreciative of the opportunity to let you know what we saw here in Orange County as the Election Integrity Task Force. We all went into this with just wanting to ensure free and fair elections. Many times we were asked, how do you know which party this affects? And we just answered, we just want free and fair elections. We don't really care. It just doesn't matter to us. And we basically lived at the SOE's office from July through November under Florida Statute 1015722. Any candidate could designate special designee access to review signatures on vote-by-mail ballots, among other rights. We were to be given reasonable access, which I feel we did get in the primary. Quite the contrary, though, in the general. The vote-by-mail volume spiked from 2,000 to 3,000 a day to over 12,000. We had only 3 hours to review almost 40,000 signatures in the final week. That was over 30% of the vote-by-mail volume, and we saw only a tiny fraction, but had the most protests we had ever had. The few signatures we saw were not matching, and we even saw signatures that were not human, but were dotted. That was unreasonable access. I do not believe this was the intent of the statute and why signatures are not a good method for verifying votes. Those here that are on the Election and Ethics Committee may have already seen FFE's proposed legislative agenda that requires two-factor authentication for all qualified vote-by-mail ballots. Another issue you should know about is based on Florida Statute 1016555, supervised voting in nursing homes. The SOE's office sets up pop-up nursing home voting centers, but there is no explicit poll watching authority, and I think this is wrong. Per 1016555 spot 4, the SOE must send a minimum of 2 people representing more than one political party, and this implies that the pop-up should have poll watchers. But more importantly, why are our election facilitators the ones who are acting in a partisan manner? They should only be nonpartisan, but they should be agnostic. And a better question is, why are they even going to nursing homes? There should be no group voting at all, period. We don't vote as a group in a precinct. Voting should be a private experience with no undue pressure. There needs to be parity with all methods of voting. I feel that the citizens of this county, this state, and this country want our elections to be treated as securely as money in a bank. Nothing is more sacred than a citizen's constitutional right to vote, and we need your efforts now in legislation to preserve it. I look forward to seeing you in Tallahassee to make that happen, and this is truly a bipartisan effort, so I thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator Torres.
It's not a question, it's a comment. Ms. Nason, as a candidate, I have visited nursing homes as a candidate. And you know why? Because they were residents, constituents who could vote. And I went one by one, talking to them and letting them know who they're voting for and why. I didn't go with a group. I went by myself.
I agree with that.
What I'm trying to get at is, in nursing homes, it's very delicate because they don't want you to walk in when you're an outsider coming into the nursing home. And I had to go to the administrator and get permission, and I follow the protocol that the nursing home would allow me to come in there. I didn't announce it before, I came unexpectedly, but I think that as a candidate or who's ready for office, if anybody out here has ever done that in a nursing home, you will find that they will take care of you and they will accept you and respectfully, treat the constituent with the honor that they deserve, that you want to get their vote.
And I think you should, and I think each candidate should go, and I know I was there when Representative Escamani was there at a forum, and I think there is a Senior Citizens Bill of Rights that you should probably go there in hand every time you go to a senior facility. It's not just the senior facilities, it's to the rehab centers, it's to every vulnerable voter. Every vote counts, every person matters, and we should respect that. And I appreciate that you spent the time to do that. And we are going to be working with all of the owners and working our way down to each facility, making sure that that protocol is respected so that everyone can get in there and they can have a forum so that you can do so and it won't be so difficult. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Orange County Republican Executive Committee.
Hello, thank you all for being here and taking the time to represent us and sacrifice your time with your families to go to Tallahassee on our behalf. We appreciate you and all that you do. I'm happy to be here to represent the Republican Party here in Orange County. A few of the things that Orange County Republicans do support are universal education savings accounts, free and fair elections, parents' rights in education, constitutional carry, supporting life, a balanced budget, law and order, and medical freedom, and another item that I'll address today, which is a secure border. Our federal homeland security policy is a disaster on the southern border, and our Constitution says in Article 4, Section 4, that the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. Since our federal government has neglected this, I am asking each of you to strengthen our laws here in Florida to protect our citizens. Why? As we've heard throughout today, human trafficking is rampant. In Florida, we're number 3 in the United States. Drugs are coming across the border, and fentanyl overdose is now the number 1 killer of U.S. adults age 18 to 45. And it is also that I learned this week that fentanyl is sometimes being laced with xylazine, which is a horse tranquilizer that does not respond to Narcan treatment, and we're losing people daily over that as well. So how can you help in the Florida legislature? We are asking that you expand E-Verify to universal E-Verify. Right now, E-Verify is not required for all employers in Florida. An expansion of this would guarantee employees are qualified to work here. We also encourage you to outlaw municipalities, counties, and nonprofits from issuing IDs to illegals. In December, in this very chamber, Orange County Board of Commissioners voted to begin a staff exploratory study to look into IDs for undocumented immigrants. So we ask you to look into these 2 issues. Florida will continue to be a leader in freedom and law and order. Please consider this legislation so we can protect our citizens and continue to inspire our nation. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Those were 2 incredible women, Wendy and Erin, that they are the chair and the vice chair of the REC here in Orange County. So I was very, very proud of them and the work that they did that day in the room. So I'm going to actually move on, and I'm going to put my video on.
From the Pine Hills Federated Republican Women, Amania salutes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Amania Salas, and I'm here representing the Pine Hills Republican Women Federated. We are a Christian organization with conservative values and views. We are in Pine Hills to educate, edify, and energize women on civics, the Constitution, and our alienable rights given to us by God. Today I stand before you, a voice for girls and women in the community of Pine Hills, but it's true for all women across the globe. I am asking the legislators and lawmakers to protect girls in girls' spaces. Protect them in the bathrooms, protect them in the locker rooms, protect them at all costs. Girls turn into women, and as we know, women are the backbone of our families and our society. Girls and women are being put in imminent danger by opening up their spaces to boys and to men. So women in the room, just if you would imagine yourself, a young version of yourself, or your daughter, or your niece, or your sister. Imagine you're in the bathroom and there you are. There's a person, a male, dressed in women's clothing, makeup, scruffy beard. It's a terrible scene. It's scary for even myself, but imagine a small young girl standing there next to such an individual. It's not great. That would freak anybody out. Girls are shy, and girls are shy and self-conscious already, but why put men and boys in such private and intimate spaces that is a haven for young women and girls? The sad truth is that it's already happening. It's already happening in the schools and in the locker rooms. When you put girls and women in imminent danger by allowing the opposite sex in these spaces, bad things can happen. Just like it happened to a young girl in Loudoun, Virginia, where she was violated by a boy wearing a skirt who was given access into the bathroom. The reason he was in that bathroom was because there were laws put in order. There were laws put there that put him in that space to invade her space. I stand before you as a woman who was violated as a young girl. It's not something that anybody should go through, not anything any girl should go through. And I went through it and I got through it, but nobody should go through it. I am asking you to please, lawmakers, to make laws to protect women and girls and to protect women in our spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Next up, Cynthia Harris.
I'm Cynthia Harris. There's a myth that all people who experience homelessness, all they have to do is clean up, get a job, find a place to live, and the problem is resolved. But we all know that that's not true. Far too many people are living so close to the edge of economic disaster that one financial setback, such as job loss, car troubles, illness, divorce, abandonment, and any unexpected expense can lead to the loss of their home. According to HUD, over 326,000 people were experiencing sheltered homelessness, either staying in emergency shelters, hotel rooms, safe havens in 2021. This figure does not capture the number of people who are sleeping in places that are unintended for human habitation. So how can you help? You can write legislation so that our local government does not continue to become the biggest slumlords in this state. And what I mean by this is that Orange County government and its municipalities could bring the dream of home ownership by releasing the inventory it owns. Orange County has 4,154 residential units that could be sold to working class people who normally wouldn't qualify for traditional mortgage. Orange County could do down payment assistance and hold the mortgage. After all, they are in the real estate business. And they acquired these properties through code enforcement and tax liens, or just waited for some elderly person who had no heirs, or heirs who were simply financially strapped or uneducated to go through the probate process. There are municipalities in Orange County who have acquired properties in the same manner. City of Orlando with 1,750 properties, Apopka 304, Maitland 90, Ocoee 313, Winter Park 193, Winter Garden 266, Belle Isle 25, Edgewood 8, and we can go on. Also, I'm asking that this legislation also fight for homeowners who are living in aged communities, who have an urgent need for upgraded homes and repairs that they simply just cannot afford on their own without having to utilize an SBA loan or any other financial loan that they could normally not qualify through their income. They have an urgent need for upgraded home repairs that they simply could not afford on their own. Repairs that include electrical upgrades, ADA bathroom and kitchen upgrades, and roof repairs. I believe our residents should have the right to live in safe, decent, and sanitary conditions regardless of their ability to pay. The health of our residents and our county deserves this, and by doing so allows our seniors from unnecessary institutionalization and allows them the dignity to remain in their homes for the duration of their lives. But it should not just be limited to seniors, but homeowners as well.
Thank you. Are there questions? Yes, Senator Broder.
Thanks very much. I'm a little surprised to hear that Orange County owns 4,000 properties. Are these, do these have marketable titles? Are they free of liens or any other defects that a court would deem them to be able to be sold or transferred?
Orange County sold their last house for $20,000 and they held the mortgage in 2014. So these are habitable homes. A lot of times we think that there are out-of-state investors that have acquired homes in our community, and that's simply not true.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Coming up, Mike.
Cynthia Harris. the beast taking down Orange County, putting the proof out there, showing the public, yeah, they own real estate. They're sitting on real estate. You drive around this town, you see all these board-up houses. A lot of them are owned by the government, and they can put people in it and to start to fix this homeless situation, to start to fix this problem that we're starting to see. People are living out there in the woods in tents, and we're starting to see people sleeping under the bridges in tents. So I'm so glad that Cynthia brought this up, and I'm glad that that senator asked the question. I really want to, I know this is work that she's doing in the community, so I'm going to stay close to Cynthia so I can see how this develops and what gets done, you know, because these properties do exist. They are out here, and the city owns them, and the government owns them. So I'm happy to see what Cynthia did today in the room. So that was really, really good.
H.R. 1242, a 15-member commission was formed with a directive to develop and carry out activities throughout the United States to commemorate the 400-year anniversary of the arrival of Africans to the English colonies at Point Comfrey, Virginia in 1619. Accordingly, and without hesitation, on February 16, 2020, the Equity Council Court volunteered to help coordinate a celebration here in Central Florida called the 1619 Fest Orlando to commemorate the occasion.
I'm just kind of curious and wondering, we all know that we came here. We all know this. What is the point of going into law and creating all this legislation and to know for the exact date when this happened? Like, these people are like literally looking at the very, very fine print. And for what? What does it change? What does it cause? What does it do? Doesn't do anything. I say move on. Let it be. It is done. It is finished. And Jesus would say, it is finished. But now we got to do the 1619.
Today, this presentation offers the state of Florida a chance to partner with the Equity Council Corp to celebrate 400 years of Black history and ensure 1619 Fest Orlando becomes the state of Florida's premier Black History Month festival.
It's a festival. What are we going to do? We're going to dress up as Negroes. What are we going to do? We're going to go out there in the streets and do what? Eat, barbecue, fried chicken, watermelon. What are we going to do? So we're going to do? And for what? The 1619 Project.
Speaking in place of Bishop McCray.
Okay.
I am Pastor, more grace and peace to all. I am Pastor Marcus R. McCoy Jr. I serve as the senior pastor of the Greater Refuge Memorial Church in downtown Orlando. I also serve as the Secretary General for the African American Council of Christian Clergy and co-convener of the Florida State Network of African American Clergy Alliance President, which is a network which encompasses 15 counties, 1,200 churches, and about 60,000 Floridians. Today I speak on behalf of the faith community as we head into the 2023 legislative session. We will be looking for fairness, transparency, and integrity and the processes that shape our systems of governance and form the basis of our shared well-being for all Floridians. As a local church, we are called not to only focus on the spiritual needs and well-being of our congregation, but are equally mandated to engage in the social problems that challenge the communities we have been called to serve. Seeing that the church and faith community, specifically in the Black community, is one of the largest standing institutions that people still look to for social guidance and community advocacy, we ask that more intentionality is made to partner with pastors and faith leaders around issues that directly impact the people and communities we service every week, day in and day out. We cannot afford for our truthful history to be censored, our vote to be erased, our elections policed, and our lives to be less and less affordable. In a state as wealthy and resourceful as Florida, there is no reason for people to be struggling to provide for their families while simultaneously fighting against regulations that control how they vote, who they can vote for, what they learn, what they say, and the doctors that decide what is best for their health. We ask that before any legislation is put forth, that you meet with the interfaith leaders and partners to focus on real issues facing Floridians. Lastly, in the area of gun control, we ask that you do not support any proposed legislation that will allow people to carry guns without licenses. We thank you so much for your service and know that the faith community is praying for you.
Thank you, Reverend McClain. You have a question, Representative.
A comment, it'll be really, really brief. Thankful for the African American Council on Christian Clergy and the work that you all do. Many of you know I'm the granddaughter of a pastor, the daughter of a pastor, and the wife of a pastor. So the work that you do is, yeah, all of that in one. So the work that you do is extremely important. I've been quoting Martin Luther King all day today. And, you know, he was the paragon of intersectionality between social justice and faith. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, I am very interested in this pastor, and I'm going to do a little research, a little homework, in particular about his work that he does. His work that he does, and the work that his church does. I want to stop this. That's what I'm trying to do. Stop. I want you to stop. Stop. I want you to stop. Yeah. So I am going to be doing a follow-up in reference to this very pastor and what he said here today. And because of the work that I'm doing in Pine Hills with the churches, this might be a great community partner, being that he seems to be doing the work of the Lord. And so we're doing the work of the Lord. And so I'd like to see where that can go. So that is going to be something that we're going to talk about probably more in the future. But I really wanted to stick him into this video of all of these people, and because he left an impression on me when I was in the room that day.
You all today. I'm here to request that at your next legislative session that you address transparency, oversight, and governance to the Supervisor of Elections office themselves. The state has done a great job at creating laws for voting, making sure that we have fair and honest voting. Unfortunately, there's very little oversight, very little transparency into the Supervisor of Elections office themselves. I have been the IS Director, Information Systems Director for the past 2.5 years for the Supervisor of Elections office in Orange County, as well as the Systems Security Administrator for the state of Florida, which means that I am responsible for all security issues. And during my tenure there, we have done a fantastic job in making sure that the systems are great. They're much more reliable, much more secure. I'm an IT guy, so that's what I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy making a difference. Unfortunately, with regards to the process, with regards to how the office is run, there is a lot of gaps. There's a lot of issues. When I submitted my request to speak here, I also provided 2 documents, 2 sworn affidavits. In that first sworn affidavit is a timeline of a series of events of a lot of misconduct that took place in the office. One of the things that took place was software piracy, which is downloading a software illegally, using it, and could be construed as a felony. There were 13 instances of those. In addition to that, the same people who were involved in that also exfiltrated voter information and data. For the non-techies here, what that means is that all the unredacted information, all of the voters in Orange County, their unredacted information may have been leaked to the dark web. So that means everybody sitting here, your name, your home address, date of birth, other information that you need to vote could be floating around out there.
Wow.
There are issues with that, as well as issues with the fact that
There are 4,100 protected voters in Orange County itself. So not only politicians, but also police officers, people who have suffered domestic violence, their information may be out there. The second one pertains to a lot of gaps that are in the security of the actual building itself, which, if you take a look at it, could allow for and make it very easy for voter fraud to take place. You could have ballot harvesting, you could have stuffing of ballot boxes, you could have printing of ballots without anybody knowing. So there's a lot of areas that need to be improved in the office itself.
Other questions? No questions. Thank you very much.
Nobody wants to touch that hot potato, right? Nobody wants to talk about ballot harvesting. Nobody wants to talk about things happening in the election here in Orange County. None of them want to talk about it. Geraldine Thompson just got reelected. LaVon Bracy Davids just got elected. Who else just got back in? Anna Askamani just got back in. And but no, we don't want to talk about that. That's just poppy tosh talk. Yeah, we're moving on. Yeah. It's a disgrace.
Thank you to all the honorable members of our legislative delegation. Thank you for your patient listening all day long. My appeal to you begins with a story about my Aunt Jane, who died in 2013, just before her 100th birthday. We'd all been hoping she'd make it to 100. But right after she died, a relative remarked, "Wait a minute, her heart was beating for almost 8 months before she was born." Her heart, which began beating in her mother's womb, had been beating continuously without stopping for 100 years, plus a few months. We marveled that meant she was alive in 1912 when Titanic went down. Without polling those in the room to find out if they leaned pro-life or pro-choice, it was perfectly clear that everyone knew that Aunt Jane was indeed alive when her heart began beating in utero and dead when her heart flatlined. As you probably figured out by now, I'm appealing to you with this same common sense logic to support a heartbeat law for Florida. Even very small children whose mommy is expecting their little sibling sometimes get to hear the baby's heartbeat at the OB appointment. Even these little ones know it would be monstrous to kill that tiny person hiding in mommy's belly. This is a matter of human compassion and human rights. Sadly, although all of our hearts started beating 4 to 6 weeks after our conception, Florida currently allows the killing of babies up to 15 weeks. Not only do they have a very strong heartbeat, but their organs are fully formed and they can already suck their thumbs at 10 weeks. By the way, that same Aunt Jane, who lived to 100, adopted 2 daughters, which was a tremendous blessing because she was unable to carry a baby to term. She had 16 miscarriages. So she always bristled at the term birth control. Nope, she said, there's no such thing as birth control, only conception control. But even that is not guaranteed, Aunt Jane. Many here may be able to relate to some degree. But my point is not about contraception. It's that a baby with a beating heart is not garbage. It's not a clump of cells. It's a human life, a precious gift. Please make Florida a state that protects these lives and helps support women in crisis pregnancies to give the gift of life, even if they're not in a position to parent. Someone loving, like my Aunt Jane, will be grateful to take it from there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Are there questions? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And next, Brittany Jones, Florida Christian Patriots.
Hello, my name is Brittany Jones, and I'm one of the co-founders of Florida Christian Patriots.
We are a group of believers from all denominational backgrounds, ethnicities, and upbringings who understand that it is our duty to be active in local civic process and are committed to advocating for biblically aligned legislation. Today, however, I stand before you to discuss an issue that goes beyond religious affiliation or party lines, an issue that to a degree has already affected each and every person in this room and their constituents. Imagine with me that you are at home on a beautiful sunny Florida afternoon when you hear a knock on your door. Before you stands someone from the state, flanked by law enforcement with authorization to force a treatment on you because they believe you pose a danger to public health. Florida Statute 381.00315 states this clear as day, and the wording in Section 4 is most concerning to those who believe in the sovereignty of one's body. Can you imagine being forced by any means necessary, as worded in the statute, to be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, or quarantined based on someone in power's determination that you pose a threat? The broad and subjective wording in the statute gives it the potential to be weaponized against our own citizens. It doesn't discriminate. It has no political affiliation. It is a dangerous, outdated law that must be looked at thoroughly and amended immediately. And while you may agree personally with the overall premise that those who pose a health threat should be reasonably treated or detained, we as Florida Christian Patriots are asking that Section 4 of Statute 381.00315 be removed from Florida law completely, amended to be more clear, or that there be no second-degree misdemeanor charge associated with declining the forced treatment or quarantine. At the end of the day, Section 4 of this statute gives the state entirely way too much power over an individual's body, with little to no structure as to how a person may be a, quote, public health threat. Representatives, imagine someone declaring you a threat to public health, and while you are still deemed well, as defined by Section 4D, you are forced to be injected with a substance that they've determined to be suitable. In any other circumstance, the right to say no or give consent to someone else in regards to your body must be honored. How is this any different? In the words of theologian Martin Niemöller, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I am here today to speak for you, for Floridians, no matter the label with which you define yourself, because I believe the sovereignty of one's body is worth speaking up for.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
We must ask ourselves, if we do not have bodily autonomy, are we truly free? Thank you.
Are there any questions?
There were so many speakers that we did not get to. I will link the link to Orange County where the meeting is in the description box if somebody's interested in going and looking at it. But we're gonna wrap this up. So it was a great time, great information, a lot of concerns, and I do hope and pray that the representatives take these things very seriously and really pay attention and get to work to fix these concerns that we, the citizens of Florida, have. So I thank you all for watching, and I'm going to say thank you and goodbye. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. And friends, we've got a whole lot of souls to save, as you can see from there. A whole lot of souls. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.